Welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're going to take a look at the Kobalt 40 volt max pole saw. And this thing, actually, I've had a little experience with it. I've used it since last fall, and I'm going to kind of put it to a test today because I've got a tree that we recently cut down. It was a great big oak tree, and some of the limbs and stuff are still sticking way up high, and I'm wanting to trim all that kind of stuff off, and some of the smaller stuff that, you know, the tree was huge. It was 66 inches across at the base and about 4.5 feet up on the tree. It was still 44 inches across, and so it was quite the monster. And even with it laying down on its side, there's a lot of limbs and stuff still sticking way up in the air, and I'm going to try to kind of work my way back and just hit a few of them with the pole saw. Oak will be a great workout for it. And like I say, I've used this pole saw before, and kind of what I've come to find out that, you know, if you're trimming trees and stuff with it, you can trim enough branches off. I probably had 10 trees or so that I did in one day, and trimmed all the bottom branches and stuff out, and had piles underneath each tree, and all on one battery. So we're going to take a look at it today and go through and just see how well it cuts. And I've recently sharpened the chain on it. I don't claim to be a professional chainsaw sharpener, but I think I do sufficient enough on it to be able to tell how it does. So we'll take a look at this and see how it does. So first, I do want to give you a quick look at it. And the way that the battery works, it's got a clip right here, and this whole big 40 volt unit comes out of there. It's got a battery gauge here on the back of it. I don't know if you can see that in the sunlight, but we do have a full charge on it. That thing just slides back in there, and you do kind of have to push it hard to get it in there, but that seems like it's secure. Of course, you do have a lock right here that you can lock your trigger so you can't accidentally pull the trigger and turn the chain on. And then of course you have also a hand safety that keeps you from pulling the trigger if it's not pressed. So I can pull that now, but I've got my chain guard on there and I don't want to cut it up. But so we'll go ahead and pull this off. A couple other little quick things. Of course, you put your oil in right here, your bar oil, and this thing has a toolless chain removal, but it's not a toolless adjustment. And the only thing that I can see that I'm not real crazy about with this, yeah, this thing, you can just turn that'll loosen your chain up. You can make your adjustments on it, but you still have to have a screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, to be able to tighten your chain up or, you know, make that adjustment. The part that I don't like about it is the adjustment screw is up here on the chain right here, or up beside of it, and you have to either have a really long Phillips screwdriver or something. But that's just an easier way, I would imagine, that they've done to be able to put that screw in there, and then it just pushes against the adjuster and slides everything forward as you tighten it. In my preference, I like to have the adjustment over here on the side so you can reach it easy with the screwdriver, and you're not having to reach up beside the chain, because that thing's really close, and if you got your hand here plus the end of your screwdriver, then it's really hard to get your screwdriver on there good and straight. So anyways, may be trivial for some people, but that's just kind of an aggravation for me. So let's take this down and take a look at it and saw some tree limbs and stuff with it and see how it does. So guys, we're going to jump in here, and I know that some of this stuff, I can reach this stuff with the regular chainsaw, but I wanted to kind of show you how this pole saw worked, and this is, you know, it's got a lot of small stuff, but then there's a lot of big stuff here too. And I want to pretty much take the 8-inch bar to its max and saw quite a bit with that, so you can kind of see how well this thing actually does. So I do want to show you the size of these limbs that I'm cutting. This is an 8-inch bar, and that pretty much is taking it to the limit right there. So as far as giving the saw a workout, I'd say that it's a pretty good workout for it. I've been cutting for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes or something like that, and I've cut a lot of these pieces up pretty good. And I have to say that, you know, you think of a pole saw just being like little tree limbs, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, you know, maybe 3 inch, that kind of stuff. But this thing will cut its bar length in capacity. I mean, if you've got something that, like right now, I'm just using it, kind of sawing these pieces into firewood pieces. And really, normally I'd be doing this with my regular chainsaw, but it would be faster and, you know, of course, less taxing on the electric pole saw. But I figured this would be a really good workout for it and kind of really show you what it's actually capable of, because it's not just a little tiny tree limb saw. If you've got something that's fairly decent size, I mean, it's more than capable of actually cutting it and doing a good job with it. And not only one cut, multiple cuts over and over, it'll continue to go. So I'm gonna try to clean up a little bit of these tree limbs, get them out of the way, and get into some of this other stuff here, and just see how far the battery will take us. So that pretty much wraps it up for the Kobalt 40 volt pole saw. And I'd just like to say that, I mean, this is not a demonstration test, that not sponsored by Kobalt or anything like that. So I went out and purchased this for my own personal use, and just this is my experience with it. So just kind of as a recap, this thing will run a long time. Their claim is that it'll make 130 cuts on one battery. I'm sure there's a limitation to what size tree limbs that is, but I know from past experience, when you're cutting 2-inch, even maybe 3-inch stuff, you can cut for a long time on one battery. In fact, you can go around and trim like the bottoms out of all your trees, and I would say they're pretty accurate with that 130 cuts. I mean, it will last a long time and will leave you with a huge pile of brush to clean up. So down here on this tree is not testing this for what this is actually intended. It's really more of a torture test, and I wanted to kind of see what it would do from, you know, small stuff all the way up into the big stuff, how long the battery and everything held up on that, see if it would overheat before the battery actually went dead, because a lot of them have a safety feature on them to where that once everything starts heating up, then it'll actually shut the saw off and not let it overheat. This one, it didn't really feel like that it got too hot or anything like that. It never did shut off. The battery was completely dead. When you hit the test button on the battery, it shows no lights on it, so it's completely out. So anyways, that pretty much wraps it up. I really like this saw. It's really impressive for battery. It's not what you would think. I mean, I'd say it's just as powerful as what my electric one is. It's probably, I'd have to test it compared to a gas-powered one, but it's probably not as powerful as what some of the gas-powered ones are. But it's also a lot more convenient, because you just grab your battery for it, you go. I mean, you can cut for an hour or something with it, get plenties of work piled up to have to clean up. So the battery actually recharges in less than an hour. So if you cut for a while and then you've got your mess to clean up, you can put your battery back on charge, and by the time you get one mess cleaned up, your battery will be recharged and you can come back out and cut some more. So anyways, thanks for watching today. I appreciate you coming along and checking out the Kobalt 40 volt max pole saw. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And make sure you click that like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching.